morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority. I am calling to order. Roll
These
call,
two were
please.
close.
Hold on.
These two were close.
Here.
Gilbreath. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks. Ahern.
Here.
Seabolt. Here. Morrell.
Here.
Stroller.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. Thank you. I do declare a quorum. Bill, would you offer up a prayer for us this
You
evening?
bet. Will y'all pray with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come before you and freely and openly pray and worship you at all times of our choice. I ask you to be with us this evening in this meeting. Help us settle the business at hand with the city. Let us not have any prejudged decisions. Let's hear everything that is being said and make decisions that will benefit the town, and above all, make decisions that always glorify you. I pray this through your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bill. Item 1 is the consent agenda. It just has item A, which is to receive and approve the minutes of the regular PMA meeting of February 4, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Goldar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks. Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Next item, we'll move down to item 4, comments from those assembled. Any comments pertaining to the PMA this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Council, authority members, staff, anyone have any reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 6. Consider approval of certain budget amendments of the that is the FY 2018-2019 PMA budget, providing for a decrease in the fund balance of $152,312. Our financial officer is here. Do you want to go into detail on that for us?
Let me just take just a quick second, and really I can summarize the majority of this budget amendment up in the one piece, and that was whenever we guys went out and we bought the electric bucket truck, and whenever we made that purchase, that was about $100,000 purchase. That by itself was the majority of what is in this piece. There's also a couple of little pieces related to the new bond issue that we had. We've got some debt service payments have to make this year on that bond before we get to the end of the fiscal year. So whenever you throw those two things in together, that's pretty much all of the $152,000 decrease. Again, everything that we're going to talk about in budget amendments tonight are really things you guys have done as council action items in the first 6 months that either were carryover items from last year or are new items like this, a bucket truck and a debt service piece. But we have to get them in here and get them in the budget so we can spend them. So that's there is nothing of surprise tonight in budget amendments that I'm at least worried about.
Do we all have an understanding of what is considered? Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion, question? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Any new business for the PMA? Any new business? Seeing none, item
Motion
8.
adjourned.
Second. Thank you, roll call.
Goldar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. I will call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry. It is February 21st, 2019. Roll call.
Goldar.
Here.
Gilbreath. Franklin.
Here.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Here.
Seabolt. Here. Morrell.
Here.
Stroller.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. Thank you. Our first item is the consent agenda. You see items A through I of that agenda. Is there any that you'd like to discuss further? Make a motion or make the motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second. Have a second.
Second.
You have a question?
No, I said second. I didn't hear a second.
Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled for items on the agenda this evening. Any comments? Seeing none, we move on to proclamations, commendation, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. You got any commendations, Chief?
Nope.
Oh, thought I was gonna get something. We'll move on to the next item, which is city manager's report. Mr. Purnell.
Thank you, Mayor.
Purnell, sorry.
I'll make it real short. First of all, I'd like to thank Police Chief Brian Thomas and Acting Chief Russell Brand for professionally representing the city in such a manner as you've done over the last 2 weeks. Really do appreciate that, so thank you very much. Vance Air Force Base is continuing to do touch and goes at our airport, and actually they're increasing those because they've realized that not only one runway needs to be rehabbed, but every runway that they have over at Egan needs to be rehabbed. So we will continue to see some more activity out there. So unless there are any other questions from the manager's report, Mayor, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
I noticed that we have a new code official.
Yes, sir.
I just seen the name in here and I didn't know where we hired him. I mean, that's fine, I'm glad we did. I just,
He's a contractor, working, he lives in Enid. He comes over twice, maybe 3 times a week, depending on the workload. I did ask him to come, and he will be here next meeting to meet you guys.
I've met him on 3 different occasions, and unfortunately, he's an old friend of Bryce, so we gotta talk. Check him out.
Wow. That's not saying anything good for anybody, Mayor.
He is qualified and competent, there you
Yeah,
go.
he's a
Oh,
certified
okay.
code enforcement officer. Yeah, been doing this for a while.
Item 7, our chief financial officer's report.
Just don't say I'm associated with Bryce whenever you say that, please.
Probably text you here shortly.
And I'll hear from him over that one. Oh, guys, y'all have your financials.
Gotta take a break here.
I'm trying to locate the council meeting.
This is,
Right in here.
It's open to the public.
it's open for public, come right on in. There's a copy of the agenda there, and if you wouldn't mind signing in, please.
Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
All right, you guys have financials in your packet. A couple of things, just to hit, cash overall for the month of January, we were pretty consistent. Budget versus actual, guys, we should be about 58%, give or take, depending on what departments are going on and what things are happening. I'm going to mention to you something related to sales tax. You'll see sales tax, we're at 66% right now. The month of February deposit, so, which is not on these financials, but, we're always looking ahead, checking out what's coming on next month. We're gonna have about our second lowest sales tax deposit that we've had in the trailing 18 months. Matter of fact, Earl and I were just talking about how we budgeted at 85%, guys, I told you, we're always gonna be conservative, we're gonna watch those things. Whenever we talk about budget amendments, we didn't increase sales tax in the budget amendments for one reason, because whenever we look at next month, we're gonna have $124,000 sales tax deposit. That being the third lowest in the trailing 18 months, which goes back to, before that, we didn't have any problem because we had Walmart, in those deposits. The scarier thing to me related to this right now at the moment is December sales. So that's Christmas sales that we're having our lowest sales tax of the year. Very, very rarely do we ever have, in any of our communities, do we ever have a December that is that far off of normal, and especially below like a trailing 18-month number. So I don't know what it means at this point, but it is something that I'm going to tell you guys we will continue to watch very carefully. And as each of those deposit letters come out the next few months, we're paying very close attention to what's going on. Activity seems to be up, guys. We were talking, Larry and I were talking, we have a hotel that's going to show the highest hotel motel tax in February, which would be January's activity. It's going to show the highest that they've showed in about the last 3 years. as far as, so, you know, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know if somebody didn't get sales tax remitted, you know, at this point, we couldn't pull the confidential reports just yet to tell what was on that. So I don't have a detail. I just know that it's not a number that I was very happy to see. And I'm telling you this month, that way next month we don't have to dwell on it very much. Couple of other things, you know, as far as expenditures within the departments, guys, everybody's staying where they are. I will not brag or belabor any of the departments individually, especially those that are here tonight. But everybody seems to be doing their part. I'm worried about what's coming next month. I know exactly where we're gonna be, so, nothing really, no, guys, really, they're doing a stellar job. And while I have to harass them, they do a good job to stay within their numbers. Hotel motel tax receipts were down, for the month of December, which is we collect those in January, so those were down. Again, kind of giving the same idea that happened with the sales tax, you know, I mean, when we see the sales tax down, and we see hotel motel tax down, it all kind of goes hand in hand with what was going on. We did not get the shop local, is really what it comes down to. You know, shop local is always the most important. You know, even if we don't shop bricks and mortar, I've started to say this, even if we don't shop bricks and mortar anymore, guys, at least shop online and have it delivered here. Because we still get at least a use tax collection. You will see whenever we start talking about budget amendments that we're bumping use tax almost $20,000. Guys, that's a significant bump in use tax. The majority of that use tax is coming from online sales and having to collect, out-of-state companies now having to remit use tax for goods that are shipped into the state of Oklahoma. And directly inside the city limits of Perry, we get a sales tax number on those. So if you can't find it in a local store that you want it, wait the 2 days and let Amazon deliver it to us, because at that point, we get a sales tax number. I prefer you buy it from a local vendor, but if that local vendors don't have what you need, we can still get the money here in Perry instead of giving it to Stillwater or Enid or Oklahoma City. So we're gonna have to start focusing on that. And how that sales pitch goes out, I don't know, but we've gotta get that sales pitch out. So that's what I have on financials. Anything you guys have questions on?
Council? Do I have them? I guess. Item 8. Consider approval of budget amendment to the city's FY 2018-2019 general fund budget, providing for a net decrease in the fund balance of $92,536 and an increase in capital outlay of $6,639, and in the FY 2018-2019 cemetery budget of the city.
So just the two general pieces we have to prove here. The general fund, again, some increases, some decreases across the board. There's nothing here that's really out of whack. I mentioned the use tax. I've kind of hit all of these pieces. On the streets, you'll see the $202,000. We had issued the bond proceeds 2 years ago. This is just utilizing some of those bond funds. As we utilize them, as we spend them on the different phases, we bring those bond funds in effectively as revenues. They're not true revenues, but we get to include them, and then we include the expenses in those months. So that's really the big numbers that are in here. The others are smaller pieces. Again, lots of things that we've talked about and approved as individual items on agendas over the first 6 months of the year.
Now, these adjustments, do they also include what we're asking for tonight as far as expenditure?
It does not include the dump truck beds, and it does not include the firehouse. It does not include those two.
Need your approval. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the budget amendment.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Kolar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Sterling.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, council. Consider approval of ordinance number 2019-02 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 18 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplement. By the amendment of subsection A, providing for the water rates shown in both cubic feet and gallons without any change in rates. Providing for repealer, providing for saving, severability, codification, and declaring an emergency. The new meters will have read in gallons. And our old meters read in cubic feet. So this gets it on our books in gallons. No
A lot
rate
easier
changes,
to
no rate
understand.
increases. Say again?
A lot easier to understand.
Yeah, it is for me.
Autumn's gonna cuss for a while because when she has to go back and do back research, she's gonna be looking at, the system's actually gonna kick out huge errors for her for about a year. So if you hear Autumn screaming, it's just because of the volume differences whenever she's, running out the error piece. Outside of that, we're still good. There she is, to scream. We were just talking about you.
Wow.
No, we weren't, you were.
Yeah,
That was kind of eerie
it was all on
timing.
you.
That's a little scary. I didn't know she was coming.
So, ordinance 2019-02 for the.
Motion to
changing-
approve.
Second.
Third.
Roll call.
Colern.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold.
Yes.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion on emergency?
Second.
Colern.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold. Yes. Stroller.
Yes.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you, Derek. Consider approval ordinance 2019-03 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 18, Section 17-510A of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplement, providing for sewer rates shown in cubic feet and in gallons without a change in without any change in rates, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, effective date, and declaring an emergency. Same thing.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Colern.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion on emergency?
Second.
Thank you.
Colern.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold.
Yes.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move to item 11. Consider approval ordinance 2019-04 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 17, Article 2 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplement, entitled Billing and General Provisions by the addition of a new section 17-217 entitled Automated Meter Reading Opt-out Program, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, and declaring an emergency. The city is purchasing and installing automated meters. And much to my, I won't say it, our city attorney added a opt-out provision within this. To read it to you, the ordinance provides for a one-time cost of $75 and a monthly cost of $38 for manually reading, to manually read a meter, and the enrollment is February to July of each year. So therefore, if anyone does not want a meter because they think it's a health concern, then they can have it manually read by paying the fee.
Mayor, I need to amend the automated meter readout to opt form, the last one in the stack.
Say again. Where is it? What line?
It's the last one in the,
Okay, in the pack. All right.
and it's the last three lines of the statement. By opting out, I understand that all services provided pursuant to the automated water and electric meters will no longer be available to me when I agree to forfeit these services and benefits. a literal reading of that says we're not gonna give you any water or electricity.
I don't like that language either.
So afterwards it says, I understand that all had AMI related services.
Correct. Got that?
Yeah, got it.
Was that a motion also, or just?
Yes, that's a motion to amend this form.
Amend to pass it, to accept the ordinance and amend the form?
Yes.
Second.
Second?
Could
Just
we
a moment,
get a
please.
cop? I'm sorry.
Just a moment, please. Any questions?
Yes.
Any concerns?
Could we get a copy of that form that you're working on? 'Cause I don't think we have one. Haven't seen one.
You wish to stand?
Yeah.
Yeah, your name, please, and address.
Question.
You would come and stand, please, sir?
Come right here to the podium.
So basically, if I don't agree to have a smart meter, then you're gonna cut off my water
No.
and my
No,
electricity?
not at all. No, sir.
That's what we're fixing in that amendment.
Just
You do know
we'll,
these things are burning people's houses down, right?
No.
Yeah, they are. And, Canada has removed over 200,000 of these units because they're defective. They have a plastic backing, they don't have a metal ground, they short out to catch fire. When, city installed one on my property, I asked them if they changed the clips. They told me I would have to pay an electrician to come and pay him to take and change out the clips that the meter plugs into. That's where the short starts. I paid to have that pole put in, I paid to have the box put in, I paid to have an electrician put that meter in, and the city came and took it, and when I tried to opt out, they said no. So if it comes down to not getting water and not getting power, you're more than welcome to come yank the meter, you're more than welcome to turn off the water. Those things are dangerous, I do not want them on my property. And I'm not talking about the RF frequency off of them. That's dangerous enough by itself, but I don't care about that. My pole is away from my house. If there's a short in the transformer, I could lose my icebox and my TV and everything, just like that. It's happened in Texas, and it will happen here. And I want to know if the city's going to guarantee that if people have damages due to these meters, that they're going to pay for them. My property is agricultural residential. Like I said, you can come turn the water off, you can turn the power off, I don't care. But you're not gonna condemn my property because I don't have services. I know that's a habit of some of these cities around here. Now, I would like to know if you guys really studied this situation before you took and decided to put these things in. California's got entire communities that banned them. Like I said, the whole country of Canada is wanting them out. And you guys are wanting to put these things in just to save a little money? You think I'm gonna pay somebody $75 and then $38 a month or whatever it was to come and read my meter? No, I'm not. My address is 502 Oto, and if you guys don't wanna change my meter back to an old meter, which I paid for, then you can just go turn it off, I don't care. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll give this back. This goes for the water and electric meters. There's gonna be two separate meters. So is it gonna be the money for each one?
No,
It's just gonna be.
because we read them as we go out. When we make one visit and we read both.
Okay, so I'm not gonna get double billed
No, ma'am.
for everything, if I would opt out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have I've got a lot of questions and things I'd like to say, but I don't know that I should do it.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
It's a, now's the time, go for it. It's a done deal, you know, already. It's not gonna make any difference. I agree with the gentleman that was here before, these things are dangerous. They put, you know, there's so much of this in these things here that, you know, I'll come to the front. I shouldn't. I wasn't wrong. I'd like to know where does this come from? The Smart Grid Consumer Collaborative, where's that at?
We didn't provide that, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
We provided both of those.
Online?
Right, those came from our provider.
Smart Grid Organization, I think, .org.
Or electrical provider?
This is from
provided.
2011, it's dated 2011.
Mhm. These have come a long way in the last 20
They're
years.
wanting to sell what all they can. I think you're gonna find out that a lot of your information is not going to be safe anymore. They can come in, they can get all the data they want out of your house, then they sell it to corporations and you'll get paid for it, or whoever's.
Who's gonna get the data out of my house?
These smart meters can
Well,
do
they-
that.
they
They
probably
collect
already
data
are.
out of your house.
You've got a smart meter on your gas meter.
Yeah.
It's been there for 4 years.
Um,
No fires, no nothing.
All they do is they gauge what you use. They don't gauge how you use it.
Sure they do, sure they will.
No,
Yes, they do.
not,
No, they
not,
don't.
Yes, they do.
No.
Yes, they
No,
do.
that's
How you
not,
use
no,
it.
no.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
yeah.
She can say whatever she wants to, and we'll sit here and listen, that's all we gotta do.
There's some people that say that these are no worse than a cell phone, but they are. They're hundreds of thousands of times worse. People have died from the problems that, you know, getting brain cancer. Just look online and,
I actually went online and researched that, and there was a statement from the American Cancer Society said there's been no proven fact that these things are causing cancer.
and
It made a statement that a microwave will put out at the distance of 3 feet, probably 10 times what this thing's gonna put out. And this thing's gonna be on the both of them are going on the outside of your house, on the outside of your homes.
I would like to, if possible, set up a special meeting just so that we can discuss this and we can bring our proof. We can bring that, what we know about it, and,
Sorry, that's not gonna
Because-
happen.
yeah, okay, I understand that. I would like to have a moratorium on when we start this too, so that we can show you some proof of what's going on. There's a.
I've seen the proof you're
There-
trying to provide, and it's bogus. That's all there is to
I
it.
don't believe so.
And
That's-
we are gonna install them as soon as we get them.
I guess what upsets me as a council person, that we've been talking about this for months and months and months. And,
Years.
well, in the last recent months, I mean, it seems like every meeting or every other meeting, we've had discussions about the AMI, AMR, whatever you wanna call them. And now that we've already accepted the bids and done the bond issues, and now it's a problem.
It was never, I never saw anything in the paper or anywhere else
Been
that
looking.
said, we're gonna get these new things, we'd sure like to hear what you want to do. You know,
That's a
It's
joke.
been- It's been on the
It's not true.
agenda item probably many times over the last 6 months.
they're not
Not in
public.
executive session.
Yes, they are.
The agenda items
They're
are
a
covered.
public record.
The items might be, but this sure isn't.
Yeah.
This
Sure
is
it is, it's an
This-
item.
It's
This
all out
is
there.
not ever in the paper, not like this,
Well, we can't help what the paper publishes.
you know.
We
That
publish
item's
it.
posted in a
But
public
it's
place.
at,
Dixie, where all do we publish the
well,
agenda?
it's available on our website. It's on the front window of both this building and City Hall building, and it's sent to the newspaper. And they obviously don't publish it with the letterhead and all that, but Gloria lists all the items in her article.
Is it on pen?
That's a Tyson question. We've been talking about it in a number of these YouTube meetings, so I mean, it's out there, and
Yes.
we've discussed it time and time again.
This is not new. We've been We've been trying to get this put through to get meter readers out
I
of
s-
harm's way for over
I
2
would-
years.
I would like, what company are you buying your meters from?
That's published in the paper when we took the bids.
Could you tell me tonight, who is that,
You got
who
the
you're
company?
buying it from?
UTS.
U2S.
UTS.
Yes, ma'am.
And where are they from? Where are they at? They're not in Oklahoma, are they?
Yes, they are.
Are they Oklahoma?
Yes. It's Oklahoma Corporation.
And could you tell
The
me,
main manufacturer is out of,
could you refresh my
Michigan.
memory on, how we're gonna pay for these? I mean, is there,
That bond issue you voted for.
yeah. And was that the $1.4 million number? Okay,
Was that the refunding?
pardon?
That was 3 points.
it's 3.1 million was the bond issue amount. that we-
$3.1
Yes.
million to do these
No.
meters?
No.
No, you asked what the bond issue was.
Okay.
The bond issue was $3.1 million.
Okay, so what is it costing to buy the meters? Total,
Well, installed and the meters or installed or
mm-hmm,
what, you're asking the whole project?
yeah.
Uh,
How much does a meter cost?
Meter cost $106 for a water meter and, $210 for an electric meter. I don't remember, I don't have the electric meter off the top of my head.
Okay,
The water meter's $106 though,
okay.
for a 1 inch.
And how many meters did you buy?
For
Per
every meter
inch.
in town.
How many is that?
Approximately 3,500.
3,500, okay. I was trying to remember how many, I didn't know how many houses we had. Okay.
That includes businesses also. It's a little late to be doing this auditing and
Right.
financing we're trying to do. When
Well-
we've discussed this for over 2 years, taken bids twice,
Okay.
because the first time we didn't accept them, then we took bids again. It's been advertised,
I don't
it's been
think-
talked about. You just not diligent enough to keep up with things.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
For
thank
2
you.
years you've been talking about
We've
doing
been
this?
discussing this
But you haven't
item.
done it publicly.
Oh,
Have you?
right here.
Okay. I agree that, I think smart meters are dangerous. They send out these,
You better get the gas company, take the one out at your house then.
okay, I might do that.
Because they've been there for four years.
I just know that it's,
And they didn't call you
it's
and
not
ask you.
good. It's not good for us to have them radioactive
Well,
things
this is
going
kind of
through your
embarrassing
body.
for me to even stand there and talk that way.
Well,
It's
it's
embarrassing.
just not good. It's just not good. It's not good, it's not a good choice.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'm not worried about the RF or anything. I actually work with that on a daily basis. So, that don't worry me. I was wondering if they do come to your house to install these and there are some different kind of contacts or anything, is that actually covered in their installment or is that gonna be on the homeowner?
It's part of the installment, everything.
Okay.
They're not gonna ask you for anything.
Okay. As far as, and I know you all probably know because you've researched them too, but, on a daily basis, you are bombarded by radio frequencies. Way, a lot more than what that meter's gonna put out. If you have Wi-Fi in your home, if you have a cell phone in your pocket, if you have a kid running a radio control car, all of that is more than what they're talking about. The only RF that puts out is strictly just to tell them what your usage is. They're gonna gather that usage, it's more efficient, so no one's walking in your yard. They're gonna gather that data, they're gonna process your bill, and they're done. I know that stuff is probably scary when you're not used to it, but when you're used to it on a daily basis, and you know about it, it's not that big of a deal. So, I think it's pretty cool that it's gonna be more efficient, and I like the idea. I wasn't all in for the idea at first, cause I was like, great, it's gonna be another hike. We're gonna be asked for a lot more money again and again and again, but we weren't, and I like that. So, for the idea, I think it's a good thing. The other thing you need to think about, if you're gonna think about money, is, that's probably 2 or 3 people that they didn't have to hire, that they didn't have to pay retirement on, that they didn't have to pay benefits on. And right now, that probably don't mean anything, but over time, that's gonna pay for itself. My main question was about the household thing, but I do like the idea, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the ordinance.
Second.
I think we had
We
that,
have a
didn't we?
motion.
Oh, do we already?
Thank you, Bill.
Kolar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion on emergency.
Kolar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 12, consider approval of professional services agreement in the amount of $9,500 with R.L. Shears Company, P.C., for the preparation of certain revisions to the Perry Sports Complex Master Plan to include new softball fields and additional parking of cars and RVs in the perimeter trail loop around the BMAC Sports Complex. We've been fielding questions from folks ever since we opened that about when are we going to add softball fields? When are we going to add more parking? This put together a plan to see what that would look like by the R.L. Shears Company, who designed the ballparks that are out there now. Didn't they not?
No,
They did our sign.
They did the
They did
sidewalk.
sidewalks, I'm sorry. Okay.
All
Sorry
3
about
phases.
that,
All 3
misinformation.
phases. Yeah, they did all 3 phases of the sidewalk plan.
Okay.
We've identified a grant,
Mhm.
and before we go out and ask for the grant, they'll probably ask us what we were thinking about. So this is to create a plan for that.
There is one minor word in here that's a little bit misleading. I don't know whether, since it's not our form, we can change it or not. I don't think we're talking about new or future baseball fields, are we?
No, this is
Softball.
softball.
Well,
Yeah,
it
this will be
says
softball.
in the location of future baseball fields.
Okay.
That word future might be struck in.
Oh, you're looking in the
Yeah,
folder?
Yeah,
Yeah.
scope, under the scope of it.
Do you prefer to have softball fields?
It says to include new softball fields in the location of future baseball fields. I don't like the word future baseball, I think it's present baseball.
Okay.
I think
No, it
actually
is
on the
future.
original drawing,
There was more
there
baseball.
were 2 new baseball fields just to the south of where the 4 complex is. And those were called the future baseball fields in that original plan. So I think you have to take that wording relative to what the original master plan
Good
looked
enough.
like.
Good enough, thank you.
This wasn't in the budget, correct? It's not in the budget, no.
we were planning on getting the dollars.
Motion to approve.
We have a question. so-
Sorry, Keith's question.
They're asking questions.
Oh,
Where's the money coming from?
I can't hear, guys, I'm sorry.
Right now, I would tell you, we'd pull it out of the hotel motel tax, because we've dedicated the hotel motel tax for the ongoing care and upkeep of the ballpark. I mean, when we have extra funds and whenever they're needed, that's where we tap these kind of items out of.
That's a suggestion by you to go ahead and do. at this juncture?
If we're gonna spend the $9,500, I don't have it in the operating budget, so yes, I would
I'm
say.
saying, are you saying we should spend the $9,500? That's my question.
Oh, that's your all's call.
I kind of, be honest with you, I kind of struggle I mean, I want our town to move forward,
Yes.
but everything we got going on right now, I really struggle spending $9,500.
That's
Our
what I'm
hotel
at.
motel tax is down, and we got debt service we gotta pay. And so,
We just heard the sales tax information too.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. We got so much going on already with different projects. It's tough for me right now to spend $9,500 to put together a master plan. I'm not sure what happened to the old plan. I think there was some kind of old plan that we had that had jogging trails and softball fields and
Archery and.
had a whole bunch of stuff in it.
So can those old plans be used for this grant that you're wanting to go out for?
It has limited parking on that plan, and it has to be changed to the softball fields. I mean,
So you can go out for the grant with the current plans we
We can
have,
certainly try
and then
that.
do a change order, because we get all sorts of change orders.
Yeah, we can certainly try that.
Or we take a magic marker and write out
I just-
baseball and write softball on it.
I just can't see spending $9,500 on a chance to get a grant. That's just, we're in the scenario that we're in right now in the city.
Well, at best, we should table it for a period of time. Or maybe at best, we look at the old plans, but I mean, this may be something that if the old plans don't work, we can come back to this in 2, 3, 4 months and see where we're at that point financially, and, because it does sound like we're kind of in a
A pinch.
little bit of a pinch, maybe.
What's the deadline on your grant?
Don't remember, I'm sorry.
I'll make the motion that we table this for some time.
I'll
See where we're at in a
second that.
couple months.
You withdraw your motion.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Need
yeah.
a second?
Can
I'll
you bring
second
back
it.
to the next meeting the details on the grant,
Okay.
please?
Roll call, Dixie.
Goldar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabold.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. Next item is item 13, consider approval of agreement for the repair of Delaware sanitary sewer line with Craft Reynolds Construction Company. We've discussed this to the point that I don't think it's an emergency anymore, but here's what we've got to decide. Are we gonna go through the process of 60 to 120 days to go eminent domain to get an easement to put a new line in so it won't be where it is now? Or do we consider we have an agreement or have an easement because we put the line in, then somebody built over it? And do it with our pipe bursting method, which is a lot cheaper. So we've discussed this, we know that, we've had a surveyor out there to show us where the easement would be. We basically know the cost of the sewer line, where it's gonna go, and it was 70,000?
No, it was less
It's
than,
behind your table.
No, I'm talking about building a new one.
oh, new one. It was over 50,000.
Okay,
Yes.
62,000.
So that puts us in a different way to
60
handle that.
61,000 or 46,000.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's in the back here, the picture of showing that what's going on. So we gotta decide.
Yeah. I am unclear about, I talked to this gentleman, I spent some time with this gentleman. I went and talked to Larry about our conversation I had with him. I'm unclear of, we were wanting to offset his house, I think it was like 10 or 15 feet, and put a new line in.
Offset from the house.
From the house, yes. Offset from the house and put a new line in. He was unsure if that was his property or not. And I can't see on here anything that exactly tells, if we offset from his house 12 or 15 feet, are we still on his property?
Still in his property.
Okay. Because I couldn't tell by these drawings here exactly where his house set. And we've been able to reach no agreement with the gentleman, correct?
Correct.
So I went and had a talk with the gentleman, and it wasn't happening.
Well, that's why, we own the line now that's there, and we can repair it with the pipe bursting method, which is a lot cheaper than digging ditch and laying pipe. And that's my suggestion, that we go through with a pipe bursting contract.
And we could put this to rest.
Yeah.
And move on.
And and you're talking about, when you say that, just go right back in the existing line.
That's right.
Right up next to the house.
Right. You just jack a new line.
Right under the house.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
Well, I went up there and looked at it, and there's a hole that's probably about 8 or 9 feet deep right now. You can't see the sewer system because it's kind of caved back in. But supposedly it's 11 foot to the sewer line.
Yeah.
I give it up to the guy. It's a hole with a
You dug
shovel.
a deep hole.
But,
And we did cover it up with plywood best we could, per council recommendation.
I was gonna say, 'cause I was up there probably a week later and it was still open.
Yeah, this is
So-
probably just within the last 10 days we did that.
Okay.
Someone dropped the ball years ago and let them put a structure too near or over the sewer line. And it's like, we're lucky that it's as deep as it is. I think Bill's the only one that could get down in there, well, besides Chief, and raise his hand when he could see it. You'd lose me forever in that thing, so I'm not going there. That's my recommendation, that we do a contract to repair this thing and use the slipping method or pipe bursting method as it's described.
We're sure these proposals are still valid, still good?
So far.
They were on the original bid amounts.
Yeah.
I mean, they're carrying over the other pipe bursting costs that they've done for us, so, and there's no,
So that would be the proposal, that's $46,513.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Roll call?
Kolar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Iker.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you, council. We'll move on to item 14. Authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Roger Spears, appraiser, for the appraisal of up to 28 interests in real property to be used to establish a fair market value to acquire the necessary interest in real property necessary for the Upper Black Bear 62 Perry Lake Dam project. The, I guess, the Water Resources Board and the Farm Bill have said that we have a high hazard dam out there, not a moderate hazard dam. And since it's a high hazard dam, they want to reinforce it by adding fill to the back and sloping it more gently instead of as steep as it is. And they want to raise it at about 18 inches. And they want to raise the spillway. So that's going to cause the ponding area to be greater by, from the 89.4 to 91 something, I believe. So we're looking at that, and there's properties around there that be affected by a permanent pond higher than the one that's permanent now, and we need to pay the landowners for that property. And that's why this will help us appraise that land, make contact with property owners through a professional, and negotiate for those properties.
Do those appraisal dollars seem a little high?
That's what those guys charge. This is just, that's part of this project. I don't know what, other than say than that it was a part of the farm bill that our representative came in and talked to us about years ago. U.S. Congressman.
back in 15, guys, for those that weren't on council, we entered into an MOU, memorandum of understanding, where we were going to participate, us and the county, together, go to the state and lobby for 35% of this overall project cost. The USDA was going to fund the remainder of that project. In that MOU, we've outlined certain pieces that we will provide as part of our doing the deal. One of those things that we agreed to provide in that MOU was the purchase of whatever easements were needed around the lake for the new fill line. So this is all, while this is step one in it, the other main step that we have committed ourselves to, well, actually there's two steps we've committed ourselves to. Number one that has to be taken care of now is acquiring the land. Once the project is done, the dam has been rehabbed, we've also committed ourselves and the county together to overlay the road that crosses the bridge, or that crosses the dam, and we will put that back in. Those are the two main pieces that we said that we will commit funds out of local county match to do. The state has said that they will take care of the majority of the other 35% that has to be done. Now, my understanding is that they're looking at issuing a bond, and they will have the remaining amount of that 35% match available to do this project as we move forward. And that's why it's here now, is it's time to move forward on acquiring the easements around the lake.
So, I guess my question though was, I understand why,
Yeah.
but my question more lies around, once you do one tract, you have a general value for probably all these other tracts, don't you? I mean, I'm not an appraisal expert, that's just,
And this appraiser
No.
has done lakes before. This is not a real estate appraiser who goes out and, you know, tells you what your house is worth.
okay.
This is the guy that's done these before. And Tim Dozal recommended him.
Okay.
So
It,
that's where we got this gentleman. He's been here he's been here one
Well, they
time.
could be different sizes and stuff.
well, there's no different uses.
So are we gonna, when we purchase this land, it's been so long since we've talked about this, is it the city and the county gonna go together and purchase this? 'Cause this is gonna be an interesting situation, because the county ain't got any more money than we got.
Well, the agreement reads that the sponsors for the grant are the city of Perry and the county of Noble County, Oklahoma. Okay? It's a joint MOU signed by all parties. The county signed it, the mayor signed it, and then, you know, everybody with USDA has signed it. All it says is that the sponsor will be responsible for acquiring the properties. So in joint interest with the county, we will go out and acquire those right-of-ways, those easements around the lake.
So, the cost of the appraisal, I mean, is all this split right down the middle somehow, or?
Right now, this is 100% us paying it. We have not had the discussion with the county.
Is there a rush from getting this done today?
I think they're ready to start the work on doing the appraisals.
Actually, they've already started some of the work.
Has he already started
For the
some of the
background work. We sent them easements, we sent them a lot of information, just so they can determine their scope of what they wanted to do, their approach, how they were gonna do it. Basically, Bryce has asked that the terms are no different than what is in your agenda. He just doesn't have the exact form to present to you. So he's asking that you authorize the mayor to sign the agreement once he finalizes that.
So does that mean we're gonna talk to the county? Or does that mean we're gonna talk to the county, or we're just gonna eat it?
No, right now, there's no contemplation of talking with the county on that. If that's your all's wish, we can go back to the county
That's why I asked what.
and
the
discuss
timeline
that.
was.
I do think there's gonna be significantly more expense in actually acquiring the right of ways. I would hope that we're not spending $1,500 on an appraisal that, we're gonna buy for $500, you know. I'm just anticipating that there's going to be significantly more money in the overall project here, that will involve the county. Because guys, we were talking, you know, I mean, Larry and I were both talking, you know, I mean, we don't have monies, significant monies, you know, I mean, $1.5 million that these numbers can come up to, you know. right now to pay out of our own pockets, you know. And not that that's what the land acquisition was gonna be, but by the time we do the road, and by the time we look at what the all-in cost of raising this is. I think the overall project was about a $10.6 million project, almost $11 million, give or take. And our share, whenever we talked about it, was gonna come out under $1.5 million. That in some way, shape, or form, we were gonna have to come up with these dollars, this 47,000 is gonna go towards that in one way, shape, or form. Now, if when we go back as co-sponsors, we go back to the county, we can go back to the county and say, hey, participate with us now in the acquisition of the easements, you know, and we've already paid 47,000, you guys pay the next 40, you know, I mean, we can work out those kind of situations. But until we know the dollar amount of what those are, and yes, it's a significant amount of money just to find out what the dollar value of those properties are, or those easements are gonna be. I agree, that is a lot of money.
How does that process work? Once it's been appraised, then we go into negotiations with each one of those property owners?
We will try to directly acquire the easement from them based on the appraised number. To the extent that the appraised number does not meet their requirements or what theirs is, we will turn around and look at what they're asking. If we can find a way to negotiate a difference, we will do that. Worst case scenario is we would have to go in and effectively use eminent domain, which is the reason we are part of the sponsoring entity, because we have that power. We'd have to go in and do that, and then they will effectively set a 3-member board that hears the high and the low appraisals and sets a value, and whatever they come up with, that's what we have to pay at the end of the day. So we're hoping that it doesn't come to that, you know, I mean, that these values as they come back and the numbers that we're looking at can be something that is acceptable to, maybe acceptable to our pocketbook. I don't know what part of our pocketbook it's coming out of, but that we can get those dollars.
So right now, we're just authorizing $50,000, give or take, to get this process started. And then more information will be brought back to us for us to decide what to do from there.
Yes.
And if you don't get your easements and everything taken care of, then getting your money from the state goes to some other town that's already gotten their stuff together.
Correct.
Okay.
And we do have a meeting next Thursday night scheduled with the property owners at the community room, First Bank and Trust at 6:30. So far, some of the property owners have come in and asked questions one-on-one. Been happy to be as helpful as we possibly can based upon the knowledge and the information that we have. So we've been very straightforward and forthcoming with them. Certainly don't want this to be anything but a friendly negotiation as we go forward.
So you say
And a friendly
20,
relationship, I'm sorry.
you say 28 tracks, how many of those, you know, citizens own multiple tracks?
I don't know that answer.
I don't, there might be one or two that own multiple tracks, but for the most part, they're all different ones. Different
I don't know if they're all just like crop and pasture land. I know there's a few homes that we're talking about. I don't know how
At least
many.
two.
Is there just two?
At least two.
No, I know of two, but
I don't know of any others, but never know.
But
Curious.
the easement side is not gonna get into the home itself, it's just onto the site, right? I mean, we were talking,
One of them may be.
oh, there is one, okay, all right, then it's above what I remember. The original drawing, we've gone through a couple of iterations of this, the original drawing, it was not gonna touch any structures, any homes, in that, but so there is one now that's in.
Well, it was found to be in because the elevation of the finished floor
Oh, okay,
is lower than the present spillway.
to the front, okay. So,
And with one of the
Create more
owners,
problems.
the homeowners, we met twice with them. Again, very cordial conversation, which that's the way I would like for it to stay that way.
what was the date on that meeting? Next week, you said?
28, yes, sir. 6:30.
Well, it sounds like we've got two choices in front of us. Either we stop the whole thing, which would be a terrible mistake, or we proceed, but we, in the meantime, get the county up to speed and understanding where we're at. So,
They're kept in the loop just like we are by the state, but they have not volunteered any information as yet.
Motion to approve this, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, thank you, Jim. Any further questions or
would your
comments?
motion include conversing with the county up to date, get the county up to date?
You can trust me to do that.
Okay.
Comments? Roll call, Dixon.
Calderon,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you, council. You slide down here to item 15. Consider approval of payment of $47,500 to Nate's Tree Service for clearing and grubbing services completed on Camp Tandaco. This money does not come out of our budget. There was a grant that we got for the trail system and other improvements at the camp. And this gives me the authority to tell her to write a check.
Have we already received those proceeds?
Yes, we have.
Motion to approve.
There we go.
Second.
There we go. Roll call, Dixon.
Calderon.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Nate will be happy. Item 16, consider approval of the purchase of two, they say buckets, but it's dump truck. Dump
Beds.
beds. For the city's two dump trucks for use by the street department at state contract price of $14,500.20 each from street department improvement sales tax requiring a 75% vote. This is that money we set aside when we did our last extension on our sales tax. We kept 25% of it back for other items. This will come from that money.
What are, what's the value of these trucks?
They're old. That's what I can tell you.
I don't know.
I just hate to see us put a $14,000 bed on a truck that's worth $5,000, you know? But,
A new truck's going.
I say unless a new truck costs you 100.
well, I know that, but still,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense, but.
Are the beds transferable?
Yes.
So we get
You
to
saw the
the point where we
pictures,
need-
the old one.
You know, those beds are useless to you got.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they're toast.
I think
They
they jump
lose
forward.
more than what
I think
we
you
can
can
get
use
to the
them,
site.
use them to the maximum.
Yeah.
Drive faster.
I really think we've been hauling salt in that stuff and
I really think that's what it is.
I think we need to find a way with a salt spreader or something like that. We'll pick up one from state or county or somebody. Or if we don't have to buy a new one, just spread salt and sand with them. 'Cause you can
That
see what
appears
this
to me
does.
that we've hauled salt to put on the street over the years and
Asphalt.
they
work
probably
will do
weren't,
that.
they probably weren't cleaned up properly and it just happened.
Cause they look like they come over.
And chances are, they were
right
pretty
down.
much not far from there when we bought them from somebody, you know?
Could very well be.
But we need your approval to, get these trucks, beds.
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Roll call, Dixie.
Calderon.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
You do us a motion to use the street sales tax money.
Yes, that's included in that.
I think we need to vote on that separately, if you don't mind.
Don't mind.
Cool.
He's requesting a vote on the sales tax usage.
Move to just be funding the sales tax issue.
Second.
We know which account. All right. Roll call.
Calderon.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you.
Without Bryce here, I just want to make sure we're safe. Thank you, guys.
Item 17, I'm trying to get there. Authorize competitive bids for the demolition and removal of dilapidated building at 730 Holly, and notify the owner of the cost. Our city manager and staff have been in contact, or tried to be in contact with the owner. They have had conversations, but they will not respond to any request by official letters or documentation and phone calls. So unless that person's present here tonight, there's no one to talk to that we can find.
So when you say notify the owner, are you going to bill them?
Yes. Well, not, first we're gonna tell them how much it costs to give them a chance.
We're gonna go out for bid first.
So this motion is to start the process. to
Yes, sir.
accept.
To go out for bid, yes, sir.
I make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Dixie, roll call.
Calhoun.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks. Hager.
Yes.
Sebel. Yes. Moore.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Item 18, consider approval of construction for individual sleeping rooms at the fire department. Anyone want to discuss this? Our chief out there?
Yes, sir.
Wake up.
I am.
Can talk about your sleeping room.
He needs some sleeping rooms, and I think it's a good idea, even if we don't have male and female or gender differences there. I think it gives the guys a better chance to sleep if they have enclosed space. You can go ahead.
Well, as the mayor stated, we do have a female that's gonna be starting work at the fire department. We anticipate this next month. And the way the fire department is currently situated is a room much like this, with beds just sitting in the middle of the room. So I know there were some conversations with the OMAG that it came highly recommended that these living quarters be separated. I personally like to thank Sam Harmon. He has worked his tail end off, putting the things together. The crews from down there have been up there several times, looking things over and trying to get this done as cheaply as possible. So I'd just like to extend the gratitude and thanks to those guys. So they've been working really hard. So.
And David Payne, who also made the
Do you have
drawing for us.
suggestions on that bid? Which way what would fit you guys?
I really don't. We initially looked at carpet being in the bedroom, and there was some concern from some of the crew members that felt like maybe carpet wasn't the best way to go, just because, I mean, there are times we are stepping in things that we really don't want to track into our home. And that's what we have to remember too. I mean, that's their home, a third of their life, so it is a house, and so, they felt maybe it was better suited to have just a hardwood floor of some sort, which actually come in much cheaper. So that was the route that we felt would be a better avenue to go, was with just the snap together vinyl flooring, so.
Which one is that on the?
I believe that was option 4, well, I take that back, I'm sorry, option 3, option 4, and option 5 included the,
What's the difference between those three as far as the cove base, the underlayment, and the one that doesn't say anything?
my understanding is option 4 did not include the underlayment.
They're basically the same product. Just
Correct, yeah.
without
All
the-
three of those are the same product?
Option 3, 4,
What's the
and
cove
5.
base on 3?
That's that piece along the
Okay.
the
The
edge.
plastic that goes on
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So all 3, 4, and 5 are all the same material
That's what I'm
product?
told, yes, sir. I didn't price it, but that's what I'm told.
So the addition
And-
on the option 5 is with the underlayment? That's
Yes,
the
sir.
only difference
That's the only
between 4
difference.
and 5?
Yes, sir.
The
If you remember, just within the last 2 months, Sam put this basically the same product in the office of the cemetery. And we provided pictures of that, at least it was in the messenger anyway. And it really does look professional. It's a little difficult to put in. It's not as easy as some other stuff, but it will It will last for a long time. It's easy to clean.
So the 4 and 5, do they include the cove base? Do we know? And would that be beneficial for us to have for any kind of splashing or spills or anything like that?
I think that's a minimal cost, and if we decide that we do need it, we can add that.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think the Cove Base, you know, in talking to one of the folks that provided a bid, it's like $250, I think is what the price of that was to go around that room, so. Just, we were advised that once we pull that old stuff off, it's gonna pull part of the wall down, so.
What is a touch of home? Is that here in Perry?
Yes.
On the square.
Yep,
It's on Cedar.
Okay, that's what I thought. Used to be like the old LJR or something.
Actually, it was my wife's beauty shop. Yeah, it's at, it's down 2 doors from where LGR is, to the west. 2, 3 doors up there. Do we have a motion?
Brewer Carpet 1 is, that's installed, complete.
My understanding is that's the
No
city
trip
crews.
charges.
City crews putting that in, is my understanding.
So this is just the material, it's not
Correct.
including it laying
Correct.
down like.
That's my understanding. I don't wanna speak
we're
out of
gonna-
turn with
we're gonna
Sam,
do that
not
in-house.
here, but.
So, my main concern is material is exactly the same
In 4 and 5, yes, sir, and 3.
between 3 and 4 and 5.
Do you have a preference?
I do not.
Local, that's my preference.
That's my preference also.
Yeah, well, it says here Brewer Carpet 1, it says with underlayment, and it doesn't say that on 3. So that's a different product that they're putting under the floor, is that what you're saying?
Right, 3. It's a vinyl, but it's not the wood-looking product.
So what does it look like?
Pardon?
So what does it look like?
Did you see it? I did not see it.
I have a sample piece from the Touch of Home locally. I got a sample piece from them, so that was just a comparable piece that we had essentially requested from the Brewer Carpet in Stillwater.
Just so we can have another bid. Yeah,
Correct.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
So we have nothing then from A Touch of Home? We have not seen their product?
That's the product that I have.
We haven't
Okay.
seen Brewer
Yeah.
Carpet 1.
We have not
Product you
seen
have
Brewer
is
Carpet.
You can go to my house
strips
and
of
see
vinyl
it.
that snap together.
It is, yes, sir. Yeah, they're like 3 or 4 feet long,
Mhm.
6 or 8 inches wide.
I put it down in one of my bathrooms.
Yeah,
You can come see it,
yeah.
$1.
But, so, are you telling me then that we do not have a sample from Brewer Carpet 1? Is,
I don't personally have a no, sir, I don't have a sample. That was
do you have a sample
I
from
do not.
Brewer?
Sam did this.
It was a verbal that I had
Okay,
called the.
now
place.
explain to me, from Brewer Carpet 1, our guys install. Is that what you're saying?
My understanding is option 3, 4, and 5 is with the city crews installing. That was my understanding from Sam, and option 1 and 2 was with the carpet included an installer fee.
What
from
about the
local
vinyl
provider.
flooring and option fee from A Touch of Home? Is that, we gonna install that, or are they gonna install it?
That's what us installing is my understanding, the city crews installing.
Just wanted to make sure I know that.
Well, it's a little bit more money. The option 3 is a little bit more money than the other 2 options on 4 and 5. But if we're gonna tell our people in this town to shop Perry first, and our businesses that we want them to use other businesses in town, we gotta lead this by example, you know?
And this is.
I would agree, but we all would agree with that, but lowest responsible.
That's right. And
I
so,
think number 3 is the lowest responsible, in my opinion.
Can I make a motion, or can I say something?
You cannot make a motion.
Why
Not
don't-
yet.
Why don't you go back to our local and see if they might meet the price?
Well, then it's not technically requesting quotes like
We'll
we
get
were
another
required to
quote.
do.
You're just
I mean,
getting another
we would need
quote.
to deny this
What
group
we could do,
and go back.
what we could do is say, I mean, honestly, because I don't know what, if this is comparable flooring,
That's me too.
for sure,
Yep.
that I would like to see another bid.
That would be a way to get it done.
Okay, I agree.
Is that a motion? Is that fair enough to make that motion?
And I'll second.
But, that being said, we got guys that are working. And
No, that's, is that, if we take a little more time to get the bid, is that fair to you, or are you in a hurry?
And talking with Sam, that's the last thing that's gonna go in is the flooring, because they still have to tear out the carpet that's in there. It's a carpet similar to what's in here. And they'll have to remove that, and then they're gonna construct the walls, and then the flooring will go in last. That,
Okay.
you know, that's
Yeah.
my understanding.
Electrical heat in there, you gotta do first
Sure.
also. So what are we talking, a month down the road?
Let me,
Before they be ready
Can
for
we redo the
flooring?
I
let
don't
me
know.
suggest.
You gotta advertise for bid again, and
Can
next
we-
thing knows that long after.
Can we remove the flooring from these bids
Hmm.
and award bids on the rest of it?
Yes.
And then rebid the flooring?
Okay, so I'm gonna take my motion back.
So I would move that we
Yeah.
remove the flooring bid from all 5 bids and then consider it.
That way we can get started.
That's easier.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that was our concern, that we not wait.
Maybe we can get Betty to install it. We have a motion. Does everyone understand the motion? Further conversation?
I second it.
Roll call.
Okay. So I can just write the mess. The only motion is just to remove the flooring from the bids and then consider them. We're not making a decision on the bid, right? Okay. Okay. Calderon?
Is that what we're doing? Hang on.
And say that again?
What I have that Earl said was remove the flooring from all 5 bids and then consider the bids. But no,
The bids are all the same other than that.
The construction materials in the electric is the same.
So,
So we would be
Awarding.
accepting any one of the options without the flooring. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
So
Is
we
that,
can put a contract together with, or Sam can do whatever he needs. We're gonna build this sucker.
okay.
Roll call, please.
Calderon?
yes.
Franklin?
yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Seabolt? Yes. Oral?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Now, with the flooring removed, we're below $10,000 on all bids. So this is the city manager's decision. Just go buy the materials.
Okay. Well, that's kind of part of the whole corpus, though. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, we don't wanna bid split it. You know,
That looks kinda snaky. You better.
I do appreciate that, Earl, but I want it to be all, let's take the whole project
Yeah.
as one.
so approve the other 3 pieces.
That's right. That's right. We have approved the other 3 pieces. We just got to take the floors out again.
Approve the construction materials, approve the electric, and approve
Speakers.
the speaker installation.
And
That's
And
what
heat
we
and air.
just,
Oh, and, okay. Oh, and the heat, yeah, sorry. Oh,
You don't
I
need
thought
to be there,
that,
do you?
I'm trying to read from over here.
You got windows, fans.
I thought that was what the code-based line item was. All right,
Meal
Yes.
tickets, all that.
and the heat and air. Approve those 4 items.
that's what we just did. I thought, we have to do them individually?
No, your motion was to remove,
Okay.
the flooring.
And accept the other bids.
no, I would now. move
Okay, let's
to
stop,
accept-
let's stop.
Okay.
Dixie, first of all, Dixie needs to see what we,
Dixie,
let's find out
what-
what we read in the,
I only have remove the flooring from all 5 bids and then consider.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
That's
then, okay, so then
Now,
Now
it's
we can
award
consider.
the other 4.
I would move to award the other 4 items.
second,
I'm charging extra, man, I'm
Are you
not
gonna say
right
who's to
by
award
any
to?
means.
as stated,
they're all the same.
they're all the
Yeah,
same.
they're all the same.
Okay, so you're not gonna specify who you want to award
No.
Well,
They're all the same.
they're all the same.
to. Well, I know, but, okay.
Yeah.
Earl, just tell her,
Okay, how about-
read it in,
how about
Earl,
we-
hang on, just,
how about we
let
say
Earl,
option
just
one?
stop, Earl, read the other, who you gonna, award it to.
Option number 1,
minus the flooring.
That makes it easy for Dixon. Without, roll call.
Goldar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seagull.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Sterler.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Now where, Earl?
Now, go out for bids on the flooring.
Have that motion. Have a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Goldar.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seagull. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Sterler.
Yes.
Johnson.
And include, yeah, I'd like to include in that, we see samples.
Yes.
I think that was the one hardest item I've ever had on. I'm just gonna say it's related to the fire, man. That's all I have to say.
Normally it's this other guy sitting on this end.
I know.
Everybody's pointing their fingers the other way.
Either asking for targets, bullets, or cars. All right, does that cover, item, 18?
For the moment.
I should hope so.
I mean,
Yes.
it's 8 lines in the thing here, and it's, all right, item 19. Consider amendment to real estate contract dated December 17th, 2018 with Blue Badger Investments of Perry, an LLC, and Oklahoma Limited Liability Company by deleting paragraph 26 concerning stimulus, excuse me, simultaneous closing. We got that? Not stimulus closing, but simultaneous closing of all properties, and consider approving a resolution authorizing Gordon J. Johnson, that's gotta be a criminal, and Dixie Johnson during the times they serve as mayor and city clerk, respectively, to execute deeds on the behalf of the city of Perry in order to transfer real property. We have a lot of properties out there that we finally got together, the lagoon, the motel property, and then the big lot property, all the other 7 acres. And we're trying to sell those as part of the Perry Commercial Park. This stipulation takes out that paragraph in our agreement with Blue Badger that they would simultaneously close one store as they open another. That sounds good until you see that they're ready to start out there and they want to take ownership of the property before they get loans or commitments to that property. And they want to keep this one open. So simultaneously is not going to work too well. Is that right?
Well, here's, maybe, let me say it this way. They need to close on the Vance building today. And they will close on the property out in the commercial park. They've already done the work out there. They already tore down the motel. They've already done everything. But they want to close on this building today while we get the rest of the titles and everything done out there. So this will give, this just lets us lets us sell the Vance building. We will not be selling the commercial park property at this time. They will do it. They will close on it in the future.
It makes the financing easier for them and for us.
Yes. Well,
Kind of sort
it
of.
That's
doesn't.
what I said, but
For them.
Yeah. Well, it makes the financing easier on them.
Yes.
We do run a small risk. The risk is that they never close on the commercial
But we
park.
had some guarantees written in, didn't we?
There were guarantees written in there that if they didn't commence construction within a period of time, it was coming back to us. Guys, they've invested money in tearing down what was the motel out there. You know,
Here's a bunch.
matter of fact, if they never closed on it, they actually did us, I'm Russ looking at it, they did us a favor by tearing that down at no cost to us. So if they never close on that property out there, we at least have we have that commercial property still available to us for some other endeavor
It's
going
all
forward.
slowed up.
Right now, it's still tied to them, guys. It's not like we're just removing the requirement that that piece and the downtown piece close at the same time.
think it's good business. Let's move on.
It says they can do it in 30 to 45 days, so.
I move approval of this.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Caldern.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stoller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. See, it's just what I said, but opposite.
Not quite.
All right, is there any new business that need to be brought before this council this evening? Any new business? Seeing none? Item 21.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Caldern.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Morrell.
Yes.
Stoller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.